What if I told you there's a hidden strength within you that could change everything? This isn't just about cute cats. This is about unlocking profound psychological insights through your intuitive choice of feline aura. By the end of this video, you'll unveil an unconscious power that's been waiting to be recognized your entire life. Have you ever felt inexplicably drawn to a cat's mysterious gaze? Have you ever watched a cat move through the world with such confidence and thought, I wish I had that kind of energy? What if I told you that the cat you're drawn to, the feline energy that speaks to your soul, is actually reflecting back to you a strength that already exists within you? A strength that's been there all along, operating in your subconscious, guiding your decisions, influencing your behavior, waiting for you to consciously recognize it and unleash its full potential. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating intersection between feline energy, what many spiritual traditions call auras, and Carl Jung's revolutionary work on archetypes and the unconscious mind. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, auras? Really? But stay with me, because whether you believe in energetic fields or not, what we're really talking about here is the symbolic language of the subconscious. Carl Jung, one of the most brilliant psychologists who ever lived, understood that our minds speak in symbols, in images, in archetypes. And animals, particularly cats with their mysterious, independent nature, have been symbolic representations of different aspects of human consciousness across virtually every culture throughout history. In ancient Egypt, cats were worshipped as divine beings connected to goddess Badet, representing protection, joy, and feminine power. In Celtic mythology, cats were seen as guardians between worlds, able to see what humans could not. In Japanese culture, the Manekiniko, or beckoning cat, is believed to bring good fortune and success. But we're going beyond cultural symbolism today. We're using your intuitive response to different cat auras to access information about your dominant psychological archetype, your unconscious strength that's been shaping your life, whether you've been aware of it or not. Jung believed that we all carry within us what he called the collective unconscious, a deeper layer of the psyche that contains universal patterns of human experience. These patterns, these archetypes, are like psychological templates that influence how we perceive the world, how we respond to challenges, what motivates us, what we fear, and most importantly for our purposes today, what our greatest strengths are. Most people go through their entire lives never fully understanding their dominant archetype, never consciously accessing their deepest strengths. They operate on autopilot, responding to situations based on conditioning and habit rather than conscious awareness of their innate power. But you're here, right now, because some part of you, probably your unconscious mind, knew it was time to understand yourself on a deeper level. So here's how this is going to work. In just a moment, I'm going to introduce you to 5 distinct cat auras. Each one represents a different energetic signature, a different way of moving through the world, a different archetypal pattern. And I want you to pay very close attention to your immediate, instinctive response to each one. Not which cat you think is cutest, not which one you think you should pick, but which one creates a resonance inside you, which one makes you feel something, which one makes you think, yes, that's it. That feeling, that recognition, that's your unconscious mind speaking to you. That's the part of you that knows your truth, trying to communicate across the barrier of conscious awareness. So as I describe each cat aura, I want you to really visualize it. Really feel into the energy. Notice what happens in your body. Do you feel excited, calm, energized, peaceful? Whatever you feel is information. Your subconscious is always communicating with you through feelings, through bodily sensations, through that intuitive knowing that so many of us have learned to ignore in favor of logical thinking. Before we meet our 5 feline guides, I need to set the stage a bit more about what we mean by unconscious strength. In Jungian psychology, the unconscious isn't just a dumping ground for repressed memories and unacceptable desires, the way Freud conceptualized it. For Jung, the unconscious is also the source of immense wisdom, creativity, and power. It contains not just our personal history, but also the accumulated wisdom of human experience across thousands of generations. Your unconscious knows things your conscious mind has forgotten or never consciously learned. It recognizes patterns. It senses danger before you consciously realize why you're uncomfortable. It draws you toward opportunities that align with your deepest purpose before you can logically articulate why you're interested. And most relevant for today, your unconscious holds your greatest strengths, the core capacities that define who you are at your essence. The problem is, these strengths often operate outside our awareness. We use them without recognizing we're using them. We take them for granted because they come so naturally to us. Or worse, we've been socialized to suppress them because they didn't fit what was expected of us. Think about it this way. Maybe you have an incredible capacity for empathy and emotional connection, but you grew up in a family or culture that valued logic and emotional restraint, so you learned to suppress that gift. Maybe you have a natural warrior spirit, fierce and protective and unafraid of conflict, but you were taught that good girls are nice and accommodating, so you buried that strength. Maybe you're a natural sage, deeply intuitive and wise, but you were told to stop being so serious and just lighten up. Whatever your core strength is, there's a good chance that somewhere along the way, someone or something taught you to hide it, to diminish it, to distrust it. And that's what we're here to undo today. We're here to bring that unconscious strength into the light of conscious awareness, so you can start using it intentionally, powerfully, and unapologetically. All right, let's meet our 5 cat auras. Take a deep breath. Clear your mind of any expectations, and just allow yourself to respond honestly to what you're about to experience. Our first cat aura is the playful prowler. Picture this. A young cat, maybe a kitten or a cat that's retained that kitten energy throughout its life, mid-leap, reaching for a butterfly or a beam of light. Its eyes are bright, wide with wonder and excitement. There's pure joy in its movement, absolute presence in the moment. This cat doesn't worry about whether it will catch what it's chasing. It doesn't overthink the strategy. It just moves with spontaneous delight, exploring everything, finding wonder in the ordinary, turning every moment into an adventure. This cat has boundless energy. It's the cat that at 3 a.m. suddenly decides it's time for Zoom eyes, racing to the house for no apparent reason other than the pure joy of movement. It's curious about everything, investigating every corner, every sound, every new thing that enters its environment. This cat doesn't know the meaning of cynicism or defeat. Every setback is just another opportunity to try a different approach. Every closed door is a puzzle to solve. Every day is a fresh start full of infinite possibility. If you felt something when I described the playful prowler, if you found yourself smiling, if you felt a sense of lightness or excitement or recognition, hold on to that feeling. Our second cat aura is the mysterious mystic. Visualize a cat, perhaps a sleek black cat, sitting perfectly still in a window as moonlight filters through. Or picture a cat in that sphinx-like pose, front paws stretched forward, eyes half closed but intensely aware, seeing everything, missing nothing. This cat has depth. When it looks at you, you feel like it's seeing straight into your soul, understanding things about you that you don't even understand about yourself. This cat is observant, patient, and perceptive in ways that seem almost supernatural. It knows when you're sad before you know it yourself, appearing silently beside you to offer its mysterious comfort. This cat doesn't need constant interaction. It's comfortable with silence, with solitude, with the space between things. It moves through the world with a quiet knowing, a certainty that comes from some deep well of wisdom. This is the cat that seems to appear exactly when you need it, that shows up at meaningful moments as if it understands the invisible patterns of fate and synchronicity. This cat is comfortable with mystery, with the unknown, with questions that have no answers. It doesn't need everything explained. It trusts its intuition completely. If the mysterious mystic resonated with you, if you felt a sense of recognition or a deep calm, if you thought, yes, I understand that energy, remember that response. Our third cat aura is the serene sage. Picture a cat lying in a perfect beam of sunshine, completely relaxed, perhaps gently grooming itself or simply resting with that look of absolute contentment that cats do so well. Everything about this cat radiates peace, stability, and comfort. This is the cat that makes your home feel like a sanctuary. Its presence is soothing. When you're stressed or anxious, sitting near this cat, feeling its calm energy, actually helps you relax. Your breathing slows to match its breathing. Your nervous system calms in response to its serenity. This cat creates harmony wherever it goes. It's gentle with other animals, patient with children, and has an almost therapeutic effect on everyone it encounters. This cat doesn't need to dominate or prove anything. It's secure in itself, confident in a quiet way, comfortable with who it is. This is a cat that knows exactly when you need comfort and will curl up in your lap, purring that healing vibration that research has actually shown can reduce stress and promote healing. This cat values connection, but in a peaceful, non-demanding way. It offers its presence as a gift, creating space for others to feel safe, to let down their guards, to simply be. If the serene sage spoke to something in you, if you felt a sense of coming home, of peace, of yes, this is what I value, hold that awareness. Our fourth cat aura is the fierce guardian. Visualize a cat in full alert mode. Perhaps a mother cat protecting her kittens, or a cat that's established its territory and will defend it without hesitation. This cat has intensity in its eyes, a focused determination that's almost intimidating. This cat doesn't back down. When threatened, it doesn't flee or freeze. It stands its ground. It makes itself bigger. It makes noise. It shows its teeth and claws, communicating clearly. Do not test me. But here's what's important about this cat's fierceness. It's not aggression for the sake of aggression. This cat is fierce in service of protection. It's defending something or someone it cares about. It has the courage to face danger, the strength to endure difficulty, the resilience to keep fighting even when the odds are against it. This is a cat that survived on the streets before being rescued. The cat that protects the house from intruders. The cat that won't let the dog bully it no matter how much bigger the dog is. This cat has boundaries and enforces them. This cat knows its worth and demands respect. This cat has been through battles and has the scars to prove it, but those scars haven't broken it. They've made it stronger, wiser, more formidable. If the fierce guardian stirred something in you, if you felt your spine straighten, if you felt that warrior energy rising, pay attention to that. And now our fifth and final cat, Aura, the regal sovereign. Picture a cat sitting in an elevated position, perhaps on top of a bookshelf or a cat tree, surveying its domain with calm confidence. This cat carries itself with dignity and grace. Every movement is deliberate, elegant, purposeful. This cat knows it's special and expects to be treated accordingly, not in an arrogant way, but with a quiet self-assuredness that's magnetic. This is a cat that walks into a room and everyone notices. It has presence. It has charisma. It doesn't demand attention through dramatic behavior. It simply commands attention to the force of its being. This cat is independent, self-sufficient, and highly selective about who gets close to it. It doesn't need approval or validation from others. It knows its own worth intrinsically. This cat creates its own reality, organizes its environment according to its preferences, and lives life entirely on its own terms. This is a cat that trains its humans rather than being trained by them. This cat has vision, seeing possibilities that others don't see, and the confidence to pursue its vision regardless of what others think. This cat inspires others simply by being fully, unapologetically itself. If the regal sovereign resonated with you, if you felt a sense of recognition or aspiration, if something you said yes, that's my energy, trust that response. So take a moment right now and really check in with yourself. Which cat aura did you respond to most strongly? Which one created a feeling in your body, a sense of yes, a moment of recognition? Don't overthink this. Your first instinct, your immediate response, that's your unconscious speaking. That's the truth. Got your choice? Good. Hold it in your awareness, because we're about to go deep into what it reveals about your unconscious strength, your dominant archetype, and how this knowledge can transform your life. Let's start with the playful prowler. If this was your cat, if you were drawn to that boundless energy and curiosity and joy, your unconscious strength is what Jung called the innocent and the explorer archetypes. These archetypes represent the part of human consciousness that sees the world as fundamentally good, as full of possibility and wonder. Your core strength is adaptability. You have an incredible ability to adjust to new situations, to find opportunity in change, to make the best of whatever circumstances you find yourself in. While others are resisting change, feeling anxious about uncertainty, you're genuinely excited by it. New experiences don't scare you, they energize you. You're the person who moves to a new city and within a week has already found the best coffee shops, made 3 new friends, and discovered opportunities that other people who've lived there for years never noticed. This is an unconscious strength, meaning you probably don't even realize how rare and valuable this capacity is. You take it for granted because it's just how you naturally are. Your second core strength is the ability to find joy in challenges. Most people view obstacles as problems, as things that make them feel frustrated or defeated. But you, often without even realizing you're doing it, turn challenges into games. You get curious about them. You wonder, how can I approach this differently? What might work? What if I try this? You maintain that quality that children have naturally, but most adults lose, the quality of playfulness, of experimentation, of not taking things so seriously that you forget to enjoy the process. And here's why this is such a powerful strength in the modern world. We're living in an era of unprecedented change. Technology is evolving rapidly. Job markets are shifting. Social structures are transforming. The old models of having one career for life, living in one place, following one predictable path, those models are obsolete. The people who thrive in this new reality are people like you, people who are comfortable with change, who adapt quickly, who see new possibilities instead of just loss of the old familiar ways. Think about some of the most successful explorers and innovators throughout history. People like Amelia Earhart, who had that same fearless curiosity. That same excitement about pushing boundaries and discovering what was possible. Or think about modern entrepreneurs like Richard Branson, who built an empire across dozens of different industries by maintaining that childlike enthusiasm and willingness to try new things, even when conventional wisdom said it wouldn't work. Your unconscious strength, when you learn to wield it consciously, is the ability to thrive in uncertainty, to find adventure where others find anxiety, to maintain hope and optimism even in difficult circumstances, because you genuinely believe that something good is possible if you just keep exploring, keep trying, keep moving forward with curiosity and openness. But let's talk about the shadow side of this archetype, because every strength taken to an extreme becomes a weakness. For playful, prowler people, the shadow is difficulty with commitment and follow-through. Because you're so attracted to novelty and new experiences, you can sometimes start many things but finish few of them. You might struggle in situations that require sustained focus on one thing for a long period, getting bored once the initial excitement wears off. You might avoid the necessary but unglamorous work of maintenance and consistency because it's not as stimulating as starting something new. In relationships, you might struggle with the less exciting phases, the day-to-day routine, the work of going deep rather than wide. Your challenge is learning that true mastery and deep fulfillment often come from commitment, from choosing one path and exploring its depths rather than constantly seeking new surfaces. The key for you is finding ways to bring novelty and playfulness into commitment, to make consistency feel like an adventure rather than a cage. So, how do you consciously activate this strength in your daily life? First, stop apologizing for your need for variety and stimulation. Stop letting others make you feel like something's wrong with you because you get bored easily or want to try new things. That's not a flaw, that's your strength. Own it. Second, structure your life to accommodate this need. Choose careers that offer variety, that allow you to work on different projects, that reward creative problem solving rather than rigid procedures. In your personal life, build in regular new experiences. You need novelty the way other people need stability. It's not frivolous. It's essential for your well-being. Third, partner with people who appreciate this quality in you rather than trying to tame it. You need people around you who get excited about your ideas, who want to come on adventures with you, who see your adaptability as an asset. And finally, practice bringing your playful energy to mundane tasks. Can you turn cleaning into a game? Can you find the interesting challenge in routine work? Can you maintain curiosity even in familiar situations by asking new questions, noticing new details? Now, let's talk about the mysterious mystic. If this was your cat, if you were drawn to that depth in knowing and quiet observation, your unconscious strength is what Jung called the sage and the magician archetypes. These represent the part of human consciousness that seeks understanding, that perceives hidden patterns, that has access to wisdom beyond ordinary awareness. Your core strength is profound intuition. You know things without knowing how you know them. You walk into a room and immediately sense the emotional dynamics, who's aligned with whom, who's hiding something, what's really going on beneath the surface conversation. You meet someone, and within minutes you have a deep read on their character, their struggles, their essence, and you're almost always right even though you couldn't explain what specific cues tipped you off. This is not magic, though it might seem like it. What's actually happening is your unconscious mind is processing vast amounts of subtle information, body language, tone of voice, microexpressions, energy, things your conscious mind doesn't register, but your unconscious absolutely notices. Your second core strength is the ability to see the bigger picture, to recognize patterns and connections that others miss. You think symbolically, metaphorically, seeing how things that appear separate on the surface are actually intimately connected at a deeper level. This makes you incredibly wise. Even when you're young, people probably come to you for advice, sensing that you have insight they lack. You have that quality of seeming older than your years, of understanding things about human nature and the way the world works that most people only learn through decades of hard experience. But you just know. It's like you have access to a library of wisdom that exists in the collective unconscious, and you can pull relevant knowledge from it when needed. Throughout history, every culture has had people like you. The shamans, the oracles, the mystics, the wise women and men who served as bridges between the visible and invisible worlds. Think of Carl Jung himself, who fits this archetype perfectly. He had profound intuitive insights into human psyche that he couldn't prove through scientific method, but that have been validated again and again through their practical application. Think of people like Maya Angelou, who had that depth of wisdom, that ability to articulate universal human truths in ways that touched millions of souls. Your unconscious strength, when you learn to trust it and use it consciously, is the ability to access wisdom that transcends your personal experience, to understand and help others at the deepest levels, to recognize truth even when it's hidden beneath layers of illusion and deception. The shadow side of this archetype is isolation and disconnection from ordinary life. Because you operate at such depth, you can sometimes feel alienated from people who seem to live entirely on the surface. You might withdraw, spending too much time in your inner world and not enough engaging with the messy, mundane reality of embodied human life. You might become so focused on understanding and analyzing that you forget to simply feel and experience. You can also become arrogant about your insights, forgetting that wisdom requires humility, that you might be perceiving patterns accurately but misinterpreting their meaning, that intuition needs to be balanced with groundedness. Your challenge is staying connected to the ordinary world while maintaining access to your extraordinary perception, using your wisdom in service of others rather than as a reason to separate yourself from them. How do you consciously activate this strength? First, trust your intuition more. Stop second-guessing yourself. When you have a strong feeling about something or someone, honor it. You don't need to be able to explain it logically for it to be valid. Second, create space for your practice. You need time for reflection, for meditation, for journaling, for whatever helps you access that deep inner knowing. This isn't selfish, it's essential. You're like a well. You need time to refill so you can continue offering your wisdom to others. Third, find ways to share your insights that feel authentic to you. Maybe you're meant to be a therapist, a writer, a teacher, a spiritual guide. Maybe your calling is to help people understand themselves and their lives at a deeper level. Fourth, balance your depth with play and lightness. Make sure you're not so serious all the time that you forget to enjoy the simple pleasures of being alive. Connect with your body, with nature, with beauty. Remember that wisdom includes knowing when to think deeply and when to just be present. Let's move to the serene sage. If this was your cat, if you were drawn to that peaceful, comforting, harmonious energy, your unconscious strength is what Jung called the caregiver and the lover archetypes. These represent a part of human consciousness that values connection, that creates safety and comfort, that heals through presence and compassion. Your core strength is empathy of the deepest kind. You don't just understand what others are feeling, you actually feel it with them. Your nervous system is highly attuned to the emotional states of people around you. When someone you care about is in pain, you feel that pain in your own body. When someone you love is happy, their joy becomes your joy. This is why people feel so safe and comfortable around you. You're not judging them, analyzing them, or trying to fix them. You're just being with them, offering a profound gift of non-judgmental presence. Your second core strength is the ability to create harmony and peace wherever you go. You have an instinct for what people need to feel comfortable, to let down their guards, to open up. You create beautiful spaces, but more importantly, you create emotional safety. You're the person who notices when someone's being left out and includes them. You're the one who smooths over conflicts, helping people understand each other, finding common ground. You genuinely care about everyone's well-being, and that caring isn't performative or strategic. It comes from a deep place of believing that every person matters, that everyone deserves to feel valued and loved. In a world that's increasingly harsh, competitive, and isolating, your strength of genuine compassion and care is desperately needed. Think about people throughout history who embodied this archetype powerfully. Mother Teresa is an obvious example, dedicating her life to caring for those society had abandoned. Fred Rogers, who created a television program that was really about teaching children that they were lovable exactly as they were. Brené Brown, whose work on vulnerability and shame resilience is fundamentally about helping people treat themselves and each other with more compassion. Your unconscious strength, when you own it fully, is the ability to heal people through your presence, to create containers where transformation becomes possible, to remind people their inherent worth and lovability when they've forgotten. The shadow side of this archetype is codependency and self-neglect. Because you're so attuned to others' needs and find so much meaning in caring for them, you can completely lose yourself. You might stay in relationships or situations that harm you because you feel responsible for others' well-being. You might have extremely porous boundaries, taking on everyone's emotions and problems until you're completely depleted. You might define your worth entirely through how much you're needed, which means you unconsciously create or enable dependence rather than supporting healthy autonomy. You can also become a martyr, sacrificing yourself to the point of resentment, but feeling guilty about that resentment because caregivers aren't supposed to have needs or limits. Your challenge is learning that you can't pour from an empty cup, that boundaries are essential for sustainable compassion, that the most caring thing you can do is model healthy self-care and mutual respect. How do you activate this strength consciously? First, recognize that your caring and empathy are genuine gifts, not weaknesses. In a culture that often values independence and toughness over connection and gentleness, you might have internalized a message that being caring makes you weak or naive. But the opposite is true. It takes tremendous strength to stay open-hearted in a harsh world. Own that strength. Second, develop strong boundaries. Learn to distinguish between empathy and absorption. You can care about someone's pain without taking it on as your own. You can support someone without fixing them. You can say no without it meaning you don't care. Practice self-care not as a luxury, but as a necessity. Third, choose people and situations that value and reciprocate your care. Stop giving to people who just take. Stop being in relationships where you're the only one caring. You deserve to receive the same quality of care you give. Fourth, align your life with your values. You're probably meant to be in a helping profession, working in healthcare, counseling, teaching, social work, or any field where your natural compassion is an asset. But even if you're not in a traditional caring profession, make sure your life and work align with your deep need to contribute to others' well-being. Now, let's talk about the fierce guardian. If this was your cat, if you were drawn to that protective intensity and resilient strength, your unconscious strength is what Jung called the warrior and the ruler archetypes. These represent the part of human consciousness that takes action, that sets boundaries, that protect what matters, that has the courage to fight when fighting is necessary. Your core strength is courage in its truest form, not the absence of fear, but action despite fear. You have the capacity to face difficult situations that others avoid. When there's a crisis, you don't fall apart, you rise to meet it. When someone you care about is being threatened or treated unfairly, you speak up and stand up, even when it costs you something. You have a warrior spirit, a refusal to accept defeat, a determination that's intimidating to some people but inspiring to others. Your second core strength is resilience and the ability to set and maintain boundaries. You understand at a bone-deep level that not everyone deserves access to you, that protecting your energy and space and peace is not selfish but necessary. You're not a people pleaser. You don't tolerate disrespect or mistreatment. You know your worth, and you demand that others recognize it too. When you say no, you mean it. When you set a boundary, you enforce it. This makes you incredibly powerful because you can't be manipulated or controlled through guilt or social pressure. You've probably been through some difficult things in your life, experiences that would have broken other people. But instead of breaking, you became stronger. Your scars are proof of your survival, evidence of your strength, reminders that you can handle whatever life throws at you. Throughout history, warriors and guardians have been essential to the survival and flourishing of communities. Think of Harriet Tubman, who risked her life repeatedly to free enslaved people, who when warned of danger responded by saying she'd never lost a passenger. Think of Malala Yousafzai, who survived being shot for advocating for girls' education and continued her advocacy with even more determination. Think of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who spent her career fighting for justice with precision and persistence, earning the title the Notorious RBG for her fierce dissents. Your unconscious strength, when you wield it consciously and strategically, is the ability to protect, to defend, to fight for what's right, to refuse to back down when something important is at stake. The shadow side of this archetype is becoming overly aggressive, controlling, or hardened. Because you've learned that strength and boundaries are necessary, you might develop walls so thick that no one can get through. You might see everything as a battle, everyone as a potential threat. You might dominate others even when partnership would be more effective. You can become so focused on being strong that you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable, to ask for help, to admit when you're hurt or scared. You might also struggle with knowing when to fight and when to let go, wasting energy on battles that don't actually matter. Your challenge is learning that true strength includes flexibility, that the warrior also needs to know when to lay down the sword, that vulnerability with the right people is courage, not weakness. How do you activate this strength consciously? First, own your fierceness without apologizing for it. Stop letting people make you feel like you're too much, too intense, too aggressive. In a world that often expects women especially to be nice and accommodating at all costs, your willingness to be fierce when necessary is revolutionary. Second, use your warrior energy strategically. Not every situation requires a fight. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away. Sometimes the most powerful response is silence. Become skilled at reading situations and choosing your battles wisely. Third, find healthy outlets for your intensity. You probably need some form of physical challenge, whether that's martial arts, intense workouts, competitive sports, or something else that lets you channel that warrior energy constructively. Fourth, let yourself be soft with safe people. You don't have to be fierce all the time. Create spaces where you can let down your guard, where you can be vulnerable and tender. That capacity for softness, protected by healthy boundaries, is actually what makes your fierceness so powerful. Finally, let's talk about the regal sovereign. If this was your cat, if you were drawn to that self-assured presence and elegant independence, your unconscious strength is what Jung called a ruler, the creator, and aspects of the magician archetypes. These represent the part of human consciousness that is vision, that creates reality according to that vision, that leads and inspires others to the force of being fully self-actualized. Your core strength is authentic self-confidence, not the fake, performative kind that's actually insecurity in disguise. Real confidence that comes from deep self-knowledge and self-acceptance. You know who you are. You know what you value. You know what you bring to the table. And you don't need external validation to confirm your worth because you validated yourself. Your second core strength is the ability to create your own path rather than following someone else's. You're not interested in doing things the way they've always been done just because that's the tradition. You look at situations with fresh eyes and ask, what makes sense? What serves a vision? What's the best way forward? And then you do that, regardless of whether it's conventional. You have a natural leadership quality, not because you're trying to dominate others, but because you're so clear in your vision and so confident in your direction that others naturally want to follow. You inspire people by being fully yourself, by living according to your values, by refusing to dim your light to make others comfortable. Think of people who embody this archetype. Oprah Winfrey, who built an empire by staying true to her vision and refusing to be limited by others' expectations of what a black woman from poverty could achieve. Coco Chanel, who revolutionized fashion by creating what she wanted to wear rather than following existing rules. Steve Jobs, who had such a clear vision for what technology could be that he convinced the world to see it his way. Your unconscious strength, when you own it completely, is the ability to manifest your vision, to create reality according to your design, to lead and inspire through the power of being authentically and unapologetically yourself. The shadow side of this archetype is arrogance, isolation, and control. When you're so confident in your vision, you might stop listening to others' input, missing valuable perspectives or blind spots. You might become so independent that you struggle to truly let people in, to be genuinely vulnerable and intimate. You might expect others to meet your standards without considering that they have different values and approaches that are equally valid. You can also become so identified with your image, your position, your achievements that you lose touch with your humanity, with the messy, imperfect, vulnerable parts of being human. Your challenge is remembering that sovereignty doesn't mean supremacy, that you can be confident without being dismissive, that true leadership includes collaboration and humility. How do you activate this strength consciously? First, stop playing small. Stop pretending to be less capable, less intelligent, less ambitious than you are to avoid threatening others. The right people won't be threatened by your light. They'll be inspired by it. Second, invest in developing your vision. You're meant to create something, whether that a business, a work of art, a movement, a life that reflects your values. Spend time clarifying what you want to build and why it matters. Third, develop leadership skills consciously. Being a sovereign isn't just about confidence. It's about wisdom, strategy, the ability to inspire and organize others toward a shared goal. Study leadership, practice it, refine your approach. Fourth, cultivate genuine connections where you can be real. Make sure you have at least a few relationships where you're not performing, where you can be uncertain, messy, fully human. That vulnerability, protected and shared selectively, is what prevents your sovereignty from becoming tyranny. Now here's what's really important to understand about all of this. Whichever cat aura you chose, whichever unconscious strength we just explored, that's not all of who you are. You're a complex human being with access to all of these archetypal energies. What we've identified today is your dominant archetype, the one that's most active in your unconscious, the one that most influences your choices and behavior and way of being in the world. But you have the capacity to develop the others as well. And in fact, part of what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole, involves integrating multiple archetypes, learning to access different energies depending on what the situation requires. A fully developed person can be playful and serious, fierce and gentle, confident and humble, depending on context. So the question isn't just which archetype is strongest in you, but also which ones are weakest or underdeveloped. If you're the playful prowler, maybe you need to develop more of the serene sage's capacity for stillness and peace. If you're the fierce guardian, maybe you need to cultivate some of the playful prowler's lightness and joy. If you're the mysterious mystic, maybe you need more of the regal sovereign's confidence to bring your insights into the world more boldly. This is lifelong work. the work of becoming fully yourself, of actualizing all your potential, of mastering the full range of human capacities. I want you to go to the comments right now and tell me which cat aura you chose. Right playful prowler, mysterious mystic, serene sage, fierce guardian, or regal sovereign. And then tell me, did this resonate? Did you recognize yourself in the description? Did it help you understand something about yourself that you hadn't quite articulated before? I read every comment, and I'm genuinely curious to see which archetypes are most common among people who watch this channel. This isn't just for engagement, though I do appreciate when you comment because it helps the algorithm show this video to more people who might benefit from it. But more importantly, when you publicly claim your archetype, when you put it into words and share it, something shifts. You're making your unconscious strength conscious. You're declaring to yourself and the world, this is who I am, this is my power, and I'm done hiding it. Let me leave you with one final thought. The greatest tragedy in life is not being weak. The greatest tragedy is having strength that you never recognize, never claim, never use. You came into this world with gifts, with capacities, with power that's uniquely yours. And somewhere along the way, through conditioning, through trauma, through socialization, through fear, you might have buried some of that power. You might have decided it wasn't safe to be that strong, that visible, that fully yourself. But it's still there. It's been operating in your unconscious all along, guiding you, protecting you, trying to express itself. Today, you've taken a step toward bringing it into conscious awareness. You've named it. You've recognized it. And now the question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? How are you going to use your unconscious strength now that it's not unconscious anymore? How are you going to step into your full power? Subscribe to this channel if you want more content like this, more psychological insights, more tools for self-discovery and personal growth. And watch the next video on your screen, because we're going even deeper into understanding yourself and unlocking your potential. Until next time, remember that you are more powerful than you know, that your unconscious has been guiding you toward your purpose all along, and that the world needs a gift that only you can give. Own your strength, use it consciously, and watch how your life transforms.